stick our fingers and stuff, make stupid fucking tasting faces like this. I've never done that, by the way. I've never stopped eating something and just stared off into the fucking space like I'm having a fucking stroke. You know what
If you want to know what it's like to be a real chef, then get your brain box popped for some real talk. Introducing, out of Paris, Ontario, Canada, salty as fuck and a serious professional. The kind of chef that only has one standard, perfection. Kiefer Wheeler, Chef Kief, hailing from the West End of Toronto, with a total of 30 years in the industry. Veteran, mentor, master, and monster. The guy that will tell you what he thinks. Trusted. Villainous J, Jason Robbins, the Villainous Chef. Welcome to Chit Talk.
What's up, silly fucker?
What up, gang? How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
A day of content stuff that I've been doing all day, and it's like a 2-hour meeting with a dude up north, and then I got you sexy fuck that I gotta make verbal love to for a bit.
Oh yeah, baby.
Most chefs in the celebrity world, I want to punch in the face.
Of course.
Not because they're successful, like make that money, baby.
You're not doing it anymore.
They're such dipshits. They're so dismissive. Like, yeah, you made your money, dickhead. You don't have to be all like, this guy's a shitty chef.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm like, you don't even admit that you're a bad chef. Like Bobby Flake's one of the worst chefs ever. I don't give a shit. Bobby Flake can eat my dick. I hate that fucking guy. I fucking hate his chutney making ass. He can walk right off.
No.
And his face.
Like, even Matty Matheson at this point, man. Like, you started making money and all of a sudden.
At Matty Matheson, I have a special place because I've met him many times. I remember when Parts and Labor first opened. It was huge. It was really cool. I was not a fan of this movement, by the way. I'm not a hipster chef. Like, I think Matty Matheson understands that, like, there's only so far you're going to be able to go in today's market because, and I've talked about this, and I will continue to talk about this, that like the engineering of guests has gone so far towards this weird efficiency model of like big portions. If it, like, even fancy shit isn't fancy anymore. It's so publicly consumable. And I think you understand, like, as a good chef, you just kind of have to, you got to cater and hide and make magical experiences because no one's going to do it anymore, at least not as a default. I think Matty Matheson sees this like I do, and he's just like, I need to find a way to use all this shit, like all this garbage I have that's no longer applicable. I have to find a way to make this work for me because, like, a fucking basketball player who blows out their knee or a football player gets concussed out, there's nothing else. What the fuck do we do?
What do you do?
Like, what does a chef, when you're 55 and you've been let's dispel some myths before we go forward. I'm gonna ask you some questions, and I want you to answer.
Yes,
as a
of
chef,
course.
okay.
Yeah.
So, as a chef, have you ever worked in a place where you have an office?
Maybe once. Like once, but
Was
it's not
that
even,
office
it's a shared office.
It was a
like,
shared, like it was a desk.
Yeah,
where you put
it's
your
not
shit.
my space. It's
So that's question one. I just, so everybody can know my answer.
Of
We
course.
did have one place shared office, but it wasn't like I used it. Okay. Two. This kind of goes to the question of the office. Have you ever worked in a place where your primary job is to oversee the line, taste things, write specs, do cost evaluations, meet suppliers, and go to places to see where food can come from, and have the luxury of sitting down and creating a fucking menu with nobody in your way whilst your operation magically does its own thing but still succeeds enough?
Yeah, never.
Has that ever happened to you?
You do that shit at 3:00 in the morning, last minute before the menu needs to come out. You've got it all up here. You've got maybe a couple of scribbles written down, but
So no, you've never
glorified line
had this
cook.
like.
No.
Have you ever had a chef coat? Just to side, maybe a part two to that second question. Have you ever had a chef coat that isn't just destroyed? Like I've seen these chefs on the televisions and in the
On the
interwebs.
television.
He's like their chef coats are so perfect and pressed and cleaned and shit.
Yeah.
And I remember like even as executive chef on King Street, I'm pulling my shit out and I'm like, I gotta wear this again. Let's
I have no
go.
choice. I know I stink, guys. Yeah,
So
here we go.
at any point in time, have you ever worked in a space where you as the chef can like literally look at somebody and be like, no, not doing it?
Nah, not really. Like,
Right? You don't get unfettered, like, and especially with your own food. So, like,
yeah,
I'll advance this question. So you make this food, it's yours. You're like,
yep.
and somebody comes in and goes like, yeah, I don't like apples, but apples are integral in your pork chop that you're
Apples are
presenting
4 parts of
because it
the
makes
components of this. Yeah,
like it's interlaced throughout, and
yeah.
some disrespectful asshat goes like, yeah, no problem. And they come back and they're like, pork, no apples. And you're like, that's 3/4 of the fucking
That's
dish. Not the
exactly
more than
right.
the steak. I don't know about you, but I've worked with so many owners, and I still have yet to meet an owner that I don't have to somehow sell myself to after they've hired me.
Yep.
Does that
That
make
is
sense?
the exact same thing, and it's
Yeah.
constant. It's
It's like I hired you, right? So you're like, okay, hi. I didn't hire me. You did. You're like,
you
hi,
did.
my name is Jeff. Welcome to
Yeah,
a
my
restaurant.
name's Jeff. I'm here
You
for
have
you.
you
I'm
have your
gonna
you have your
constantly.
interviews. Right? Have you ever
Yeah.
had to do a tasting for an interview?
Yes,
Get a
yes, I have.
job?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I liked doing mine, but I was like,
it's like a
really?
working interview. It's not really a stage. It's just like, all right, go back there and make me 2 dishes, and
Well, they tried to pull that shit, and I just looked at them. I'm like, listen, I'm not going into your janky kitchen that I've never worked in and just like making you a fucking omelet and
yeah.
having this all go to pop. So how about
Again,
this?
to
I
ask
want
the
to help you.
dishwasher where we keep the
I'm
fucking
like, do you want a
onions.
tasting menu? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, excellent. I will make a tasting menu for you.
Yeah.
I will pay for the tasting menu. I will do it home and prepare it here.
Yes.
I said, if I get the job, you give me the money back. I'll keep the receipts. If I don't get the job, it's on me, and enjoy your life.
Yeah, I ate it. Yeah.
So I got the job. I did the tasting menu, but I wasn't going to be like, I'm not jumping through this. No, I'm not your fucking monkey. We're not doing like fucking Hell's Kitchen, fucking, on
Black
spot
box
edition.
tasting
Like,
fucking
here's your fucking
challenge.
box. I want to
Yeah.
see how you would do on Chopped. Am I going on Chopped, or am I working in a fucking restaurant like an
Yeah.
adult? And this is part of where I think the hostility, at least from a chef's perspective outside of the industry, is like this misconception that we all get to wear white coats, stick our fingers and stuff, make stupid fucking tasting faces like this. I've never done that, by the way. I've never stopped eating something and just stared off into fucking space like I'm having a fucking stroke. You know what I do?
Nor
I
have
taste it.
I.
I'm like, I taste it
Not
once.
once in my life.
If it doesn't impress me on the first taste, I taste it again.
Yeah.
If the second taste has something missing, I'll catch it, and then I'll either play this game or that game.
Yep.
It's either going to be this. If somebody else made it, I'm going to be like, have you tasted this? Yes, I did. What's wrong with it? Oh, there's something wrong? Okay, go back and taste it again.
Yeah.
I put the spoon down. I exit the situation. Or I'll just go like, did you taste this? Yeah, and I can't figure out what's wrong with it. Okay, have you thought about this and this?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Okay, pick one. Bye. Tell me when it's done.
Needs more
I didn't make
acid.
this.
Needs more
Now,
sweetness.
if
needs
it's
more.
my food and some other fucko's doing it, I can go over there and be like, no, this is wrong. Fix this. That's that. It's mine.
Yeah.
Make it better. How's your approach with the it doesn't taste right chef question?
Well, it's very similar to yours, man. It's just exactly as you said. Someone comes up and says, hey chef, can you taste this for me? I'm usually the approachable one that'll immediately say what's wrong with it rather than trying to make them figure it out.
Yeah.
Because it's just I don't have fucking time. Right. So it's more or less like, yeah, no, it needs fucking 2 more handfuls of salt. It needs apple cider vinegar. It needs this. It needs something, right?
Yeah.
Just because when it comes down to it, it's always crunch time when these people are coming up. It's like right before dinner service that they're like, "Hey chef, I made this." And it's like, if it's my own recipe,
Yeah.
for the most part, you're not touching it.
That's interesting. Okay, so that's a good little moment. Because I went through similar life changes as a chef. I think people have to appreciate this. Any industry you're in, I imagine this is something you do if you're doing the same thing in multiple spaces with
Yeah.
different people. You're always, if you're good at it, you're building on your craft, right?
Yeah.
I've worked under people that I respect, and I've worked with people I respect. And I was always open to like, hey, I'll learn this from this guy. I don't fucking mind stealing this idea.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of like, I'm going to steal your dish.
No, just like
Although I
maybe
have
a
stolen,
component
I have
or
stolen dishes. I'm not going to lie. Like
of
I've
course.
outright stolen dishes from people, and I
Yes.
told them, like chefs I know, I'm like, I'm stealing that dish. And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah,
This
you're
dish on
okay.
my
You can
menu at this
try.
other
And I'm like,
restaurant is the exact same. I
chick
just
face. And this is something maybe I'm tangenting a bit, but I'm going to ask you this question, and I'll give you my answer really quickly. Do you think that you should be able to have control over a recipe? Like, do you think you're special in that sense? And I'm going to answer from my perspective. I've never, ever thought that anything we do is that special.
no,
It
no.
is this idea of like, for me, I wouldn't hide things. Like,
Yeah.
I've never hidden. I've gone to tables and said like, oh, you like that? This is how you make it. Give me your email. I'll send you the recipe.
But yeah,
What?
I've never
Oh, that's I'm like, I don't give a shit. It's an emulsion. Get over yourself. It's not important.
exactly, right?
Like
Good luck doing it at home, but here it is. Like,
it's not the sum of its like dishes are the sum of many parts. I don't think people appreciate that. This in costing. Like
yep.
you can say this, a recipe is a combined amount of things. But for the lay people, recipes have things called sub recipes.
Yep.
So I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm making tinga de pollo, a fucking braised chicken thigh. So I have to treat the chicken thigh, and inside that recipe, I also have salsa roja, which is red salsa,
It's red sauce.
and I
Yeah.
need that to braise the fucking chicken thigh.
Yep.
So I have to make a recipe of salsa roja because salsa roja is on my menu, and I have to apply that recipe into the tinga de
Chicken tinga.
pollo recipe
Yeah, yeah.
because it's a major facet. So that's called the sub recipe. So it's like, plans within plans. It kind of all
Well,
collapses. Now,
steps on levels and like whatever you want to call it. But
if you conceptualize my cooking style personally, it's about making things complicated for me
yeah,
that are not complicated for other people. Like I expect that people will not understand the amount of work that went into my dish.
yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to satisfy my need to do things. So I'm going to do stuff that challenge myself. And then I want it to resonate on the plate flavor wise. I don't think anybody cares enough to be like, why? And if they do say why, I can be like, well, this is why. But like that small percentage of people who actually engage you in like that, like, I would like to understand your process.
Those are
There's
the
like
ones that
3
you.
people in my life I've met who are like, I want to
I was
talk to
gonna
you.
say I can count on one hand the amount of times that someone's been like, "Hey, chef, I'm actually really interested in this. Can you show me the process of an emulsion or fermenting egg yolks or this, that, or the other thing? I really want to understand." It just doesn't happen. Like for the most part, people are like, "Just let me cook. Like, just leave me alone. The recipes are done. The specs are right there. Just taste it when you're ready." And it's like, okay, well, it's fucking Caesar salad dressing, bud. The recipe's there. It's been there forever. Like did you
Caesar
follow the
salad dressing.
recipe?
Yeah. Use a whisk.
Yeah.
But I think but again, like I've said this to people and people don't get it. Like it's funny compliments from guests. And they're like,
Yeah.
that was a great sauce. You guys are great
Yeah.
cooks.
Right.
And I'm like, and I've had like nights where my filter goes away. I still care.
You just
So
get
I had
fucking
like
tired of it.
I had this guy say that kind of shit. He's like, "Oh, this fucking sauce is amazing. You guys are all excellent cooks." And I just spun on him. I was like, "Listen, man, let me help you out.
Yeah.
No one fucking cooks here. I cook here. I cooked here 5
They
weeks ago.
Yeah.
I cooked 5 weeks ago when I was in my room and I was thinking about this, and then I made the stuff and then I built it. and then that was cooking. The rest of
Fucking
this shit is
2:30 in the morning.
replication. I don't want these guys thinking about things other than making sure that this is correct because I showed them that. And like, no matter, like, I think that's why the Bear puts this pretentious spin on it because that sounds so fucking nasty. But I'm like, that's your job.
Yeah.
It's your job is to do. I made the dish. I don't give a shit what
You
you
just
think
assemble
about
it.
the dish. Just make the fucking dish,
Yeah,
bro.
and don't fucking talk back ever.
I think this would take. Do you want to have a thinking moment? Let's have a thinking moment when service is over, and
How about
I
we do
want to
it
hear
next
your
month when the
bullshit.
menu fucking changes? Like,
That's like, I hate people who think in the middle of service. I just want you to do what I tell you.
be
After
real about it.
service, you want to come up to me, we're having a cigarette, and just be like, I had this thought. And if I want to hear your thought, I'll be like, okay, what's your
Of
thought?
course.
And if I'm not in the mood, I might be like, you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna hold that thought.
We'll
And then
talk
you're gonna
about it
see
next
me
time.
when I haven't just had my dick kicked in by a front of house that doesn't give a shit about our production abilities.
Yeah.
That's what I would
Did you
use that
see me
tone
20 minutes
often.
ago arguing
Yeah.
with the fucking general manager at the front of
Well,
the kitchen?
I
Like,
won't get angry with him about that because you know what? Most cooks don't see it, and I get and I understand why because you and I
Yeah.
have both been in stations. And I'll be honest with you, I've had nights where I did not even know there was other people in the kitchen other than the guy calling the tickets.
your head was
When I was
down, you were just doing the job.
Nope,
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Like I had guys like cut themselves and bleed everywhere, and I'm like, I'm in the pocket, and I'm like, nah, don't.
Yeah.
I come out of it at the end of service, and I'm like, what the
What just
fuck happened here?
What year is it?
Right? It's being a line cook is one of the coolest things in the world because if you're good at it, you find this perfect rhythm of
Yeah.
movement, and it's
Well, it's
like
music,
people
man.
call for stuff and you go right.
You and I have done it. You and I have done it with Jordan and Chris
Yeah,
Barkshire and like all these guys, like where there's nights where it's literally silence in the kitchen
yep.
and you're just moving around each other and there's one person talking. And it's
That's
just,
beautiful though. That's
you
beautiful.
know, like that's the melody of the kitchen.
Mhm.
It doesn't always happen. Don't get me wrong. There's chaos that comes with it. But when you
Yeah.
have those nights, you hold on to them. Like, immediately, like at the end of it, when everything's done, and you put your hot towel on the cutting board and you have that quick second to go for a cigarette or go grab a glass of water from a deli container, because that's all we drink out of. You just know. You're just like, that was good.
That was good. Yeah. I think
And it felt good.
Remember to like and subscribe to help our boys with the evil algorithm. Comment and interact. They may be chefs, but that doesn't mean they are mean all the time.